But this right here is where he's kind of a dick. So, just like the previous one. I do like the sprites for both Emperors. I think they're really neat. The sprites in the PSP version for the final bosses are much, much better than the sprites for the... much, much better for the sprites that they have in the GBA version. Alright. Let's see how fast we can kill him. So it's 2 rounds. And he still has that Starfall attack, by the way. My Ultima hurts a lot worse than Furion's. Yeah. So this is 3 rounds. This might get him, actually. If he's not dead here, he's dead next round. I'm fairly certain. $8,000 points of damage. There you go, Minwoo. Good job, man. Wow. Gotta love them critical hits. And that finishes Final Fantasy II. I was not expecting to finish Soul of Rebirth so easily or so fast. I was expecting to I was planning to go down and grind and get that Poison Axe and then go get a Rune Axe. Like, the Emperor really strikes me as the kind of person who views himself as the good guy. That, like, you're the bad guys for opposing him and prolonging the suffering. So we're going to kind of sit through the same ending again. Except now, our 4 intrepid heroes from Soul of Rebirth are going to be on the side. So let's talk a bit about Final Fantasy II. Final Fantasy II on the NES is... I don't think it's a very fun game. I think it's awful, honestly. I don't recall having very much fun with the PS1 version. I never completed it. However, when I played it originally on the GBA, when they released the Dawn of Souls version, I had fun, you know? And when it came back out on PSP, I had a lot of fun. I mean, something about this game just really clicked, and I enjoy it a lot. I don't think, assuming you're playing some of the newer versions, I don't think it's as bad as it is often made out to be. It's different. It really has some lofty goals in its design, and it can be frustrating to walk into monster closets. It can be frustrating to not understand why you're getting ambushed all the time, for, you know, that kind of stuff. But I think that those are relatively minor issues. I think the game is perfectly playable in many, many different ways. This is my preferred method of playing the game right here. You witnessed it, you saw how it worked, you be the judge about whether or not you want to play the game that way. And all that. Now, as for the PSP version, I think this has amazing sprites. I think this version of the game looks better than... They kind of released like 3 different games in this style on the PSP. They released Final Fantasy 1 and 2 for the 25-year anniversary, I think, of Final Fantasy. And then they released Final Fantasy 4 The Complete Collection with the after years in there. I think that this and Final Fantasy 1 looks better than the after years. Particularly because the sprites, the character sprites. The after years has this, not the after years, but the Complete Collection has this weird thing where the sprites are like 2 tiles tall. They look weird. But in battle, they look fine. The battle sprites in this game are amazing. I like the details on all the characters. Firian's bandana is not in the GBA version. I like his cape. That's not in the GBA version. Guy's got that blue cape going on. The monsters are really good looking. The bosses have really cool sprites. The spell effects are amazing in this game, and are some of the best spell effects I've seen in a 2D Final Fantasy. Like, I think the spell effects in this game are better than the spell effects in the Complete Collection a lot of the time. And it's just, I think it's a really good game. And it doesn't get as much respect as it deserves, you know? And the soundtrack is really amazing. Like, the boss battle in this, like, there's 2 boss battles, and I forget which one is which, but, like, there's one when you fight people related to the Empire, and then there's one for other bosses, and that one, I think, is one of my favorite boss battle themes in the Final Fantasy series. It's just really energetic. But hopefully you enjoyed Final Fantasy II, and you see what I meant when I talked about how this is like the prototype for most of the character tropes that we see in the later Final Fantasies. Final Fantasy I, like I said, is the prototype for the world. Final Fantasy II is the prototype for the characters. We see bits and pieces that will go on to manifest in later characters. Rickard is obviously will transform into Cain. Edward is from Gordon. Leon ends up kind of going to be... He's a little bit of Cecil. He's a little bit of Squall. I just really like the music in this game. This song is pretty good too. So overall, interestingly enough, usually when I rank Final Fantasy games, my favorite Final Fantasy games are the ones that don't take themselves too seriously. But for some reason, probably because this game is so short, like, you get the high drama Final Fantasies, and they're usually 40 or 50 or 60 hours long, and that gets tiresome, okay? Like, my favorite Final Fantasy games, my top 2 are 5 and 9, and that is because they are silly, and the characters are silly, the situations are silly, it's not super serious, serious things happen, but they don't harp on it. They bounce back and go on to the next thing. Like in Final Fantasy IX, Zidane is unflappable. And I appreciate, minus that one bit at the end where they try to bring him out of a funk with the power of friendship. But the thing is that's one of the worst parts of Final Fantasy IX. That you are not alone section. And it's partly because the tone of the game just flips on you, and suddenly Zidane tries to be this brooding guy, and it doesn't work for him. But this game is fairly serious. Lots of death happens. There's very little comic relief. But, like I said, it's not that long. I beat the whole game in, what, 12 hours? And then another 2.5 hours for Soul of Rebirth? So, you know, less than 15 hours. I'll look at my time and I'll give you my final time, and we'll see how long it took me to beat the game. Translation is pretty good too. There's not a whole lot of dialogue from the heroes in this. In fact, I think Guy really only speaks at the very beginning with the beavers. Maria only speaks at the very beginning and whenever it's relating to Leon. Firion speaks a few times. But I really think this game needs a remake. So, I would actually rank this, if you're talking about the Dawn of Souls versions of Final Fantasy II, I would rank it in the top 5 of my Final Fantasies. Right now, Final Fantasy 15 is looking to be up there too. That game has some serious warts, but like I said, the games that I always just remember are the ones with the goofiness in them. And Final Fantasy 15 is just 80% of it's like a bro road trip. It's awesome. I love it. The game is really good. This game is really good, I think. I don't think I dislike any of the Final Fantasy games at the end of the day. 10 is probably my least favorite, but I don't really dislike it. That game fatigues the hell out of me because of the serious nature of it. It's just such a heavy game, you know. I always tap out about the time you get to the calm lands. And I don't know. I've just gotten to a point in my life where I have a hard time completing longer RPGs. With a few exceptions of games that I just really love. Like, when it comes out, I'm going to play through Dragon Quest VIII again on the 3DS. I love that game. But I know so much about it that I don't think they've changed enough about the 3DS version to where I'm not going to be able to go in and not just destroy that game. Like whatever. One of the things I appreciate here is the fact that I really like the space motif thing. They do this in Final Fantasy V. Like on the end screen here. I really like the space background for the credits. So, overall, I would give this game probably a 7. I think it's above average. I think all of the Final Fantasy games are above average, at the very least. And this game has some downsides. The dungeon design is awful. I think that has largely to do with they were trying to make bigger dungeons. Like, the monster closet is an awful idea. Okay, at least to the extent they used it in this game. The random encounters, there's too many. Some of the enemies can be unfair, but if you know how to neuter them, you can do that. So it's not that bad. So let's go down here with my clear data. Where's my clear data? This is my clear data. Yeah. So let's save it here. find out what my final time is. Let's add my final times up. Okay, so it took us 12 hours and 39 minutes plus 2 hours and 20 minutes. So that's 15 hours for the whole game. And my personal ethos right now is if I can beat, and when I say beat, I mean like just go through the game without doing all the side quests and stuff. If just the main story takes about 30 hours, that's the sweet spot. If it takes any more than 30 hours, I can probably push up to 40, but any more than 40, fatigue sets in, and I just don't finish the game. But 15 hours, this is a great game, I think, to just pick up and play. So let's look at this extra stuff here. Let's look at these art galleries. Spherian, Leon. There's Guy and Maria. Bees. Yetis. Let's see. Let's get some. There's Borgin. The Wild Horn. I wonder what this is. Anyway, probably some enemies I didn't fight, because I think they have art for everybody. All the enemies in the game. There's the evil Dark Emperor. There's Minwu. Joseph, holding a scimitar on his back. There's Gordon. Layla. Rickard. Hilda. There is Paul. The Emperor. There's Furion again. That's Sid. So, if you play the original NES version of this game, the characters obviously don't look like they are. They use the same sprites from Final Fantasy 1. Battling demons. Monster. Frontier Fracas. Let's look at all this. The Called Arms. I think this is like the title screen or the box art or whatever, you know. Does he have a gun? Right there, look. Is that a gun? Does Guy have a gun? Were they planning on putting guns in this originally? Huh. The Palamecian Emperor. I think the last ones are, these are all like stills from the... Alright, let's do the music player then. Let me see if I can't figure out what that song is that I like. No. That's not the boss battle I like. This one. I really like this boss battle music. I think it's real highly energized. It's really good. And I think you only hear this song once. And you get that good old-fashioned prelude. So anyway, that's Final Fantasy II. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'll see you guys next time on whatever I decide to do.